Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Shemil Shabbat Shemukak Kodash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, even the elders that came before them that taught us the truth. Shabbat Shalom and salutations, all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful life tabernacle of David. And the elder Yahshua, I'm back with the WW3 Daily update. I'm going to try to make it quick. Commander in Chief. I got Commander in what? Commander in what? Spanish clone what? Commander in Chief, meaning, what does the Commander in Chief mean? A Commander in Chief of the U.S., meaning President. U.S. Commander in Chief, who's that? And why am I asking? U.S. Commander in Chief is the President of the United States. Why? This role gives the President supreme control over the nation's military forces, including the Navy, Air Force, Navy, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Space Force, and state militias when called into federal service. Okay, Salakia for stumbling. But, so who is the Commander-in-Chief? Donald J. Trump. Now, what just happened on the world stage? This is supposed to be, right, the last superpower on the earth. Led by who? The Commander-in-Chief of the military. It's supposed to be the strongest military. That makes you a superpower. This is 2 Ezra 9:3. There will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. When you see these things happening, you will know that they are what the Most High Power has spoken about since the beginning of creation. But anyway, so this guy, the switching of planes thing was a really, really big deal on the world stage. When everybody's seen that, it's just coming out, the magnitude of what actually went on. It wasn't just, you just switch the plane. No, that's the spin. Let's see what really happened and what kind of buffoon the Commander-in-Chief is looking like right now. This is Danny Haifong and your boy Scott Ritter. Take it away. This is how long? 6 hours ago, taking it. Listen to the things that are being said. I'm going to just let it go. Because this tells the whole story. Right? This dude is supposed to be a hallmark of Edomite masculinity and supremacy and bravery and all of this shit. Now watch this.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. As you can see, I am joined by Scott Ritter to go over the latest developments. First, we begin with, I know you have covered this on other programs, Scott, but there have been updates on the catering cart escape of Donald Trump during the NATO summit, where he took another flight and left essentially the whole White House press staff and the rest of his administration staffers on the Air Force One, which was said to be targeted by Iran, an Iranian cell inside of Turkey during the NATO summit, armed with manpads, ready to assassinate Donald Trump. While Turkey is now saying they suspect Israel fabricated this assassination plot to derail U.S.-Iran talks and a deal. Well, there's more to this now. The CIA today reported in the Washington Post that they had low confidence
that would be at least the flock drawing them out.
This Iranian threat before Trump switched planes in that humiliating fashion last month, saying that this was an Israel-derived communication and plot with absolutely little reality to it. Well, in other news, this story keeps on getting worse. The USS Abraham Lincoln, the 5,000 Marines and sailors on that aircraft carrier have faced a self-harm, self-injury, and a major crisis on the ship where unrest, shortages, deteriorating conditions, endless shifts, and now a 200-plus day deployment is set to end after a brawl. According to Iran, there was a brawl on the ship after a CENTCOM advisor visited. There were water bottles thrown. There was skirmishes that led to, actually, they say 7 dead. No confirmation of that. But now, after all of this pressure and all of the talk about what's happened on the USS Abraham Lincoln in the last several days, the USS George Washington is going to replace the USS Lincoln at sea, and that will take about 8 days to happen. Scott, how about first start with the news about this Israeli, now it seems like, plot to hype up an assassination threat on Donald Trump. What do you make of what's happened in the last few days with this and the revelations about it? And then we can go on to Abraham Lincoln. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is one of the most humiliating episodes in the history of an American president. You know, the United States is presidents of the United States don't travel casually. I know firsthand when, for instance, the president of the United States comes to New York City to speak at the United Nations. The security arrangements are beyond comprehension. You know, and most of which you don't talk about. It happens, you know, because he's the president of the United States. You have to keep this man secure. But, you know, the U.S. intelligence community is singularly focused on detecting threats to the president of the United States. And when the president of the United States travels abroad, it's not a spur-of-the-moment thing. We will have coordinated extraordinarily closely with our Turkish allies. Turkey has a vested interest in ensuring that the president and all other participants in a high-profile event like the NATO summit are secure in their work. And you know, we weren't born yesterday. We know the threats we're looking for. We know how they operate. We've been looking at them for a long time. And we also understand that that the president's traveling at a time of conflict and that there are, nations out there that could possibly be seeking to do harm to him. And so the idea that the president traveled to Ankara and suddenly out of the blue, a threat emerged of such gravity that the president humiliates himself in this just ridiculous, catering cart caper. And it's a disgrace to leave his Secretary of State on an airplane together with staffers, White House staff, and a press pool, leaving them exposed to this threat. What kind of coward does that? It's not a matter of OPSEC either. This isn't a wartime contingency. One can make the argument, for instance, in World War II, that when in the lead up to D-Day, when we found that the Germans had broken, they were going to attack using E-boats, attack a exercise. We didn't stop it because we didn't want to let the Germans know that we had detected that we had broken their code. So we allowed the attack to take place, and hundreds of Americans lost their lives. It was determined that that was a price we were willing to pay to preserve the codes. But we weren't preserving anything. If this was a threat, there are ways that you can secure the president without this top secret stupidity. Turkey has a base near Ankara, the Murted base. We used to have American nuclear weapons stored there. We know this base inside and out. You take the president to Murted, a secure facility. Air Force One relocates, or this other aircraft relocates there. If it's too dangerous for Air Force One to fly, then you find another aircraft to come in. There's just so many different things that could have been done that were correct. That this was done shows that this was a gimmick. It was, this president has been guilty of relying upon almost exclusively Israeli intelligence in the past. In fact, we went to war against Iran because of Israeli intelligence. His insider, group in the White House were all pro-Israeli, sycophants. And so here, what you have is a case where Israel manufactures something out of thin air. feeds it, bypasses the normal security protocols, intelligence protocols, feeds it directly to Trump's insiders who hatched this horrific plan. It was all theater designed to create the impression that the president was a wartime president, that there was great threat, that Iran is a threat to the United States, to get the United States stopped talking about peace and going to war.
A New Age Gulf of Tonkin situation. Not so much Gulf of Tonkin. What was it? What's the name of the incident where? Let's look it up real quick. What's the name of the incident? Where what? The name of the incident where the Israeli Army fired on the U.S. in the 60s. Just give me the name. Oh, well, he didn't really fire on him. I didn't ask you that. Just give me the name of the incident. Well, it's a conspiracy theory, and the name of it is. The USS Liberty incident on June 8th, 67, during what? During the 6-day war. That's very important. Israeli aircraft and torpedo boats mistakenly attacked U.S. Navy intelligence USS Liberty in international waters off Sinai Peninsula, killing 34 Americans and wounding 170. Now, why do I liken to what he's talking about? This incident where they clowned Trump, made him look bad on the world stage. They've been doing this to the U.S. They've been at war with the U.S. What does this say? Israeli aircraft and torpedo boats. It wasn't mistakenly. You don't make mistakes. There's no mistake to it. Again, they have been, allegedly, at war with us. Right? Well, what is this? This is continuation of the war. What is he describing here? Israeli won't allow for peace talks. Did they not say that? That's the least of the flock drawing them in. Everything that the Israelis do. Oh, the Israelis say, hey, we got some assassination information that you should know about. So here's this plane. Now jump in this pantry. Jump in this motherfucking bread truck real quick. Right? We can get it all on tape and make you look like a damn fool on the world stage. That's what you see happening. Okay?
All it did is show once again that Israel's not our friend. I hope everybody understands that. Israel's not our friend. They're our enemy. They behave like a hostile power, feeding false information in. And the president's one of the most disgraceful, cowardly human beings on the face of the earth. No president would have approved of this. No president would have approved of it. The president can tell the Secret Service no.
He's talking about the commander-in-chief. So when you're in the military, he's speaking, right? He's a grunt. He's a grunt. And I'm a grunt. And grunts understand grunt. He's a Marine. All Marines are grunts. Okay? In the Army, grunts are infantry. All Marines are grunts. They're all infantry. But in the Army, it's the infantry that are the grunts. And I'm a grunt from the Army. I'm not a jarhead. Anyway, A grunt is a grunt. Okay? And so he's speaking from the standpoint of a grunt. When he speaks about the chain of command up to the commander in chief, right? That was the shit that was indoctrinated into him to get you to pick up a weapon, run down the battlefield, and go kill somebody for absolutely no reason at all. It's a very strong form of MK Ultra, and it runs through anybody that can call himself a grunt. That thing is still on you. It's very, very strong, right? He'll pop up, and say "Semper Fi" and all kind of shit, right? But he's describing who the commander-in-chief is, not the president. He's not referring to the president. When you're dealing with the military, he's not the president. He's the commander-in-chief. We're at war. Who is he right now? Are we at war? Well, war has been officially declared. Right. What is this dude doing hiding in pantries and bread trucks? It's looking bad. They became his women. This dude is a draft dodger, multiple draft dodger, runs in the family. It's hereditary. Wickedness is hereditary.
Just say, no, that's not happening. Where was the chief of staff to bitch slap whoever came up with this idea and say, do you understand you're talking about the president of the United States, the office of the presidency, the commander-in-chief of the American military. He doesn't escape in a catering cart. He walks out with his head held high because he's the world leader. Donald Trump showed himself to be a disgraceful coward of the most despicable kind. And this is the condemnation.
And he has every right to say that as a U.S. Marine who enlisted in 79. Every right to say that and make that judgment call to somebody who draft, dodged, ran, cheated his way, and now is about to send a whole bunch of people to their death on some stupid shit.
Just him, but it shows you the character of the people advising him. These are sneaky liars. These aren't honorable people.
At least the flock shall draw them out. These are sneaky liars, the people advising him. What's that dude's name? Stephen Dickhead. What's his name? Miller.
I like to believe that the people that do public service are doing it because they love their country and they want to serve their country. These are people that serve as part of a cult of personality, and they don't care about their country. They don't care about what image this sends to the world. The Lego guys in Iran. They're the most effective propaganda outlet I've seen in modern times. They're having a field day for this, an absolute field day. And their movies resonate greatly amongst the American population because they found a way to identify with the American people through Legos, sort of America. It doesn't get much more American than that, the Lego movie. But also music and the language. And so this president, once again, has just opened himself for humiliation. This is there was no threat to the president of the United States whatsoever, and he's just proven himself to be the most despicable coward imaginable. I'm ashamed of him.
Scathing.
We promise a tenfold.
We can stop right there. Okay, they probably go into some other things, but this is what happened the other day when he switched planes. I think he keeps going. He goes into the severity of it, that he would leave the rest of the cabinet there sitting. He goes into it. We got to listen. Carry on.
Yeah, well, here's some of that footage of some of the videos that have been circulating from explosive media about this incident, which... Yeah, I mean, Scott, even let's say 100% everything Israel was saying was true. The very information that we're being reported on in the Western mainstream media about what Israel said is quite interesting, because they said a cell inside of Turkey armed with man-pads was solely prepared to strike the Air Force One, which... the scandal was it doesn't have any of the fixtures needed to protect from any kind of any kind of strike or targeting of that plane. But the fact is that Iran, I was reading Ynet recently, and the Israelis were complaining about how there's infiltration all up and down the Israeli Defense Forces from Iran. They found all kinds of willing participants to do this. Why wouldn't Iran think that this could also be a scenario where he would try to escape on a decoy? It's so ridiculous to think that this was to get fed that information and then buy into it and go through this whole song and dance, which only makes you look really stupid, and it's really humiliating to say the least. Your comments on this before moving on.
Well, the other thing we have to understand is the Iranians. What's happening here is a lot of projection. And the United States is guilty of this, and Israel knows this, so they exploit it. We tend to project onto our opponents our behaviors. We're the ones who assassinate world leaders. We're the ones who, use assassination as a tool of diplomacy. We undermine negotiations by assassinating people, and so having conditioned the American public to the normalcy of assassination as a matter of public policy, the American public is likely to believe when we project our behaviors onto others whom we deem to be of an evil character, like the Iranians. We say that the Iranians are positioning themselves to assassinate the President of the United States while he's in Turkey. But nobody ever had stepped back and said, why would they do that?
Listen to Scott's wisdom. Listen to wisdom.
Iran just won the war. I mean, when the president showed up in Ankara, the war was over. We lost. We ran out of ammunition. We ran out of, we have no ability to project our, military power meaningfully into the region. We can't seize the Strait of Hormuz. We can't seize Kargil. We can't seize Isfahan. We can't do anything. Except the longer this war dragged on, the more Iran was able to damage us with ballistic missiles that we couldn't stop. So Iran, having won the war, was now in a position of trying to negotiate the best conflict termination event possible. Understand that is the priority of Iran. They're not going to surrender their sovereignty. They're not going to, give in to the United States, but they don't want this war to continue. They're looking to bring this war to an end. That's their strategic goal and objective. So why kill Trump?
And that's the wisdom. So okay, I got my mouth full of peanut butter. But there's the wisdom that Trump doesn't have, or anybody around him. Okay? He's going to explain it as far as somebody in intelligence, and somebody did, warn him.
Makes no sense. Now, people say, of course, Iran's threatened to because the United States helped Israel kill the supreme leader, and Trump assassinated Qasem Soleimani, and the Iranians have pledged revenge. But there's a time and a place. The Iranians are strategic thinkers, and they're not going to assassinate a president at the moment he just lost a war.
Wisdom.
By killing the president, what you guarantee is America will rally around the martyrdom of an American president and bring the wrath of America down on Iran.
What did he say? He said, those people understand martyrdom. They understand martyrdom. Okay? Meaning this, not that they wouldn't kill Trump, but they're going to do it very strategically and at the right time, right? So that it doesn't, bolster the American people. That could be one of the false flags coming down the pipe. Trump suddenly gets picked off, and American people, we got to go now. Set up by who? Bibi. There was the dry run right there. Anyway, I'm going to end it. I mean, he could go on. He's delivering.
The last thing Iran wants is America to strategically shift the totality of its capacity to the destruction of Iran, which we would do if they killed our president. And the Iranians know this. So right off the bat, there has to be an intelligence officer inside the inner circle that says, this doesn't make any sense. This is really, really stupid. And where does the intelligence come from? Let's look at it. Let's parse it out. But that wasn't allowed to happen because Israel was the source of this. And Israel went straight to the president's inner circle who cocked up this stupidity. No real intelligence officer worth their salt would have said this assassination plot makes sense. It doesn't make any sense. And therefore, you have to dig deeper into the source of the intelligence. And now that's coming from Israel, you have to demand, this is a threat against the life of the president. You demand access to the primary intelligence information. I want the SIGINT hit. I want to know everything about it, how you collect it, what frequency, where were these people at, what's going on. You got a human source? Give me the damn name. This is my...
Trump is a coward. Here's what happened. On the world stage, Trump is a coward right now. All right, so, and I mean, it's only being exposed. Be not ignorant. This is Sirach 5 and 15. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small, but just end it right there. Shabbat Shalom.